Absolutely, man.
Y'all ready for some sports?
Maybe.
Get ready. Ow! Ouch, that hurts. It's time for New Sports. Victor Allen's fan-based view of sports, a recurring segment of the Morning Call with Mario show. Written and directed by the bald-headed black man. Rub his head and make a wish. This is the man the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. Come on and get some. It's time for sports. Sports bras and jack straps. That's appropriately. Yeah. Sports, people.
A lot of extra, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of extra.
They like the sports. They like the like I know. Here he is.
Yeah, right. Yep. Right. I bet you any money everybody go. I already seen the sports this morning before I went to work. So you ain't gonna talk about anything we don't know about anyway. So I'm just gonna give you a relative value. Why it's so important that you even know about a particular time of the year sport, even if you don't follow it. March Madness. Let the madness begin, right? And typically what we're saying is like Mario said, think of the people who don't follow sports and what that means. It only means that there are mad basketball players on the court playing basketball. Okay, so I'm just bringing it to you real. They're mad, right? They're just mad. That's not true. Hey, man, you know what? I didn't even look at this because I'm not trying to really just kind of give you guys stuff you already know. Everybody's right now getting behind their teams, their regions, pools right now. If you guys don't have an online pool, and don't worry about PDF or conversions to a GIF file or a document, just go to one of the big boys. I'm not going to say which one. Just sign in and then put your name. Just click which teams you're going to, and just watch it go ahead and do all the other work for you. And you just get to watch game by game how well you did. I'm going to show you how bad I am at sports. Last year when I did the pool, March Madness, I'm not going to tell you which service, 25% accuracy, dude. Now, I can talk about sports.
I don't even know half the teams. I watched them do it
25%, man.
But, Vic, the people who did it on the sports networks weren't agreeing at all.
No.
That's what I noticed. On the same network, I saw like 3 different opinions.
Yeah.
On the Final Four. They weren't even, they had some of the same teams, but they were still distinctly different on their predictions for the Final Four.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you're literally sitting up here. I say this. You don't have to follow all the teams. You probably don't know all the players. I'll tell you this off to the top. I'm involved in it because it must be huge in the market. So even before we get to which teams are you picking, when do you get interested? Do you do the 64, 32, 16, 8-4, or the championship? Do you know since 2005, the advertisement dollars generated by March Madness is over $7.5 billion.
Wow.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you got that much money, there are people who've heard about March Madness who says, I know it has something to do with basketball. I said, why? They do a great job of making sure you saturate this whole month, going into April, of course, with a constant barrage of the schools and why it's so important that they get in. You win even when you lose. And the same teams are going to be the ones that typically going to take the championships. It's the Villanovas, it's Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. They seem to always rise to the top. So if you want to know what Vegas odds are, Duke. Now, watch this. Mario, you a Duke fan, man?
Well, no.
You see what it's... Watch this.
But, I change up. For me, Vic, I tend to go with the teams that, for me, were obscure. I love it. There's always some underdog team.
Absolutely.
That comes through and does way better than everybody expects.
Right.
And those are the stories that I always find most amazing. And I do try to recognize players for later on in the draft so that when you see them come back in the draft. But, it does, like you said, it's always those core groups. Right. But then you get like the Wichita States and the Gonzagas
and you brought up and I don't want to go case by case here.
Yeah, I'm not an expert at all. I'm just saying
I'm not trying to do that.
They're not usually there. Kent State got in.
Well, the argument now, just that you brought up, is a sidebar. is let one of the teams, the big boys, the ones you're familiar with, the UCLA's, whomever, the Arizonas, win 30 games and come out being a 10 seed. The argument with Wichita State is they won 30 games and they're a 10 seed. So that is probably one of those things where they go, let's go by your history, who have you played. I said, you know what? Let me just say this. If you guys want to have a good argument about parity, stop putting the teams that are located in their region to start in their region. Well, that's a money thing. Because if you have a North Carolina or a Duke start in their region in North Carolina, same with UCLA in the state of California. Switch them up. Sit back and go like this. Just because you won the right of your seed, put them in a region. But they can't do that because they're going to go, if we put Duke and North Carolina in the West, and it happens to play in Los Angeles, San Diego, it just don't come off crazy fans. Because you California people are kind of laid back. It won't come off the same way.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that those kind of marketing decisions are all of it, right?
All of it, right.
Totally.
So I'm only saying that because it's no argument. I like what they do. I just want to sit back and say, can they get some money and some things out of this? The argument is the advertisers are paying a lot of money. We haven't even gotten into the college or universities. Okay, we want to feel sorry for some people. The Mad Hotel in March. And when I say that, we was just talking about teams that may or may not make it, or they just didn't get to go to the dance. And if you didn't get to go to the dance, notice it's teams that are higher, bigger universities, with an exception of 1 or 2. Do you feel sorry for California because they didn't make it? Syracuse, which has won national championships. Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Illinois State. Maybe the one you probably don't see usually is Monmouth University. Do you see when they say how many teams are left out of the dance? They go mostly to the biggies. I'm already saying it's unfair because if you go look at some of the records of some of these teams that have won games, USC, as much as the Pac-12 may be down this year, that's all relative. They're the only conference that almost had 3 teams win 30 games. They may not have a whole bunch of teams, but out of all the teams, you can go to the ACC or you can go to another conference. They may have more teams that have been able to qualify, but almost 3 30-game winning teams. So That's not used in the correlation of seeding. So all of a sudden, you're looking at teams that from the West probably is going to be looked at. You got a weak conference. So that being said, do you feel sorry for teams like California, Syracuse, who didn't make it?
No.
Or do you want to or do you want to see those universities like, okay, let's say the Western Athletic Conference. Okay, San Diego State made it, say for example. Let's say it's UC Santa Barbara. Let's just go St. Mary's, I believe both, because there's a St. Mary's in California. There's another St. Mary's. So would you like to see more of those teams make it rather than go to the NIT? Or do you believe that just because they didn't play the bigger teams along the way, which most of the bigger teams play each other in certain arenas, they don't cross over and say the requirement is you go west and spend most of your time playing here and come back, but there's interconference. So I'm not arguing that they should, but if you keep putting the same biggies up there, you get the same rotation.
I'm not sure how they allude to things that go into the decision making.
Right.
But it obviously leaves them a fair amount of leeway to stress certain issues or not.
Right.
So, and they don't really disclose that.
Right.
So it means there's no set formula.
No.
So I don't know how they're deciding, but I know that they do a great job of selling us on the process of deciding.
Right.
Because they make it like a big party. The one thing that I did notice, it wasn't lost on me, was the excitement of the schools waiting to be notified who was qualified.
Right.
They took that and made that into a nice watching event of who's gonna.
Just like the NFL draft.
Yeah, you'll watch it. I was like, I don't know anybody. They got me sort of
because of the excitement level.
Yeah, they had me kind of excited. Like,
right.
I didn't even know, well, that's great, I guess, who you playing. But just watching the kids get ready and the way they told you different things about well done.
Yes. They look, somebody, I'm not going to even say, it shows you the visibility of an organization as it relates to what do people correlate with? Do they correlate with the players? Higher universities go with the pedigree, meaning that if it's Kentucky or Duke, we're always here. So whether the players are unique or not, this is our pedigree. But I was listening to Jalen Rose when he was talking about when pro football is the most successful sport, period, is constantly promoting as the most successful. When it came to the top 20 most recognized athletes, the one that dominated was NBA basketball. So visibility, individual visibility and brand seems to be the one that trumps things. Hey, guys, I didn't use that word because it wasn't invented before President Trump. Don't get on me on that. It was always there to say, why do they not allow that cooperation of merchandising with athletes who happen to be the best athletes on the team, and they don't get the revenue, they don't get any of that, but they are making a huge amount of money because they're recruiting the best. So they don't get to partake in that. So I'm not trying to go off the March Madness bandwagon of the excitement. I'm just saying $7.5 billion since 2005.
Hey, you heard me.
I want to sit back and see, can I get a little cut of that
plantation? Plantation.
Okay.
They want to keep all the money.
Right. So
NCAA, hey. I'm not a fan of them.
Hey, all right. Now, okay, let me get off the bandwagon and get on the bandwagon of the Final Four. You got Villanova, Kansas, Gonzaga, North Carolina. Let me tell you something, just a little quick note here. And I have to get his name correct. I know his first name is, I think it's Primick from Gonzaga. I can't, Karnowski. Primick Karnowski. This guy is a lefty, 7'1", and 280 pounds. Martin, wow. How hard is it to stop a left-handed shooter? It's one thing when they're the same size as you are. How hard is it to stop a lefty? And he's 7'1" and 280.
Well, the 7'1", 280 is probably the real issue.
That's it. Wait a minute, that's the issue.
That's probably it right there.
That right there, right?
In a nutshell.
Yeah, hey, look, I'm not mad.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, hey, look, Gonzaga is Gonzaga. Here's my question. This is number one seeds. Mario, let's see how good. First one that gets knocked out of a number one seed. If you believe that they're not, and they're all going to be there at the Final Four, cool. You say, no, they all make it to the Final Four. But if you had to pick one, who goes first?
Oh, come on, Vic. I'm the worst.
You're just all right, man.
Gonzaga.
Oh, man, you...
Because to me, they're all the other ones are rated above them.
Trying to represent.
In other words, all I know is that they're not rated on the same level. Villanova's number one.
Yes.
North Carolina's like 3, you're right. Something.
Yeah, somewhere. Moving up.
After Duke, right?
Yeah.
Duke.
Kansas, well, is Villanova.
Kansas is right up in there, too.
It's Villanova and Kansas. They're
okay, Villanova, then right up there. Okay, so Gonzaga's in that second tier.
Right.
Or the end of the first tier, I know that.
Right.
So as far as I know, I don't know these teams like that.
Right.
I did watch some of them, but still. I like to root for Gonzaga, though. See, that's what I'm saying.
See, you root for the underdog.
I always root for the underdogs.
Of course
that's what I love about March Madness.
Right.
You really get to see, you get a chance.
Right.
To upset a big dog.
And that's what you like to see.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, right. I mean, it makes sense. Look, if we didn't have it that way, I'm pretty sure that when people were sitting up here back in the day when UCLA was winning back to back, there were people rooting against us. And they went nuts on the 88-game winning streak when Notre Dame knocked off UCLA. That's what this is all about, knocking off the big dog. So if you have the same routine in there this year, and you go, oh, man, it's the same old teams winning, that's why you come to hate or dislike, say, the Patriots, because you want to see somebody knock them off.
But you got to have the best, Vic. So, unfortunately, I go like, what are you going to do? If these are the best, they're the best.
Right.
So you can't. I don't want you to take lesser nobody people just for that.
Okay.
And the place of people who actually outperform them. They have
agree.
a lot of leeway because the part that I can never take into account is stuff like schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they have spent a lot of time of who else you played,
Right.
blah, blah, and all that. So
Right.
I have no idea, so I just have to go with them. But
Well,
I don't hear people complaining. Well, and maybe you know more about this than me. I don't hear people complaining about the selection process.
Only the
For
coaches.
March Madness too much.
The coaches, the media, because they're there to look at not only analytics, but what they're getting on the committee for is this. And I do believe there's a certain amount of truth to this. Most of these people who are in these jobs, it's their secondary job to get involved in and be a part of a committee. And they were talking about it. This brought up Wichita State. They said, how did they go all the way down, winning 30 games and go, so if we win 30 games, we're a 10 seed. It's terrible because they're trying to figure out and quantify and qualify that. Do you need basketball people who are in that committee to say, our only job is to watch these teams as much as possible? Because you know what they're letting that get dictated by analytics. So they're not the team. They're not the people who are watching the games, and there is no group that's sitting up there funneling them all this information of watching the game from their perspective, other than they're just getting the analytics.
And I don't have a set opinion on that because obviously in an evolving world, analytics have an increasing importance.
I agree.
They went from never doing that stuff.
I think it's great.
Now they're doing it, and when they
Right.
now that they so you have to kind of take what happened.
Yes.
You never did it. Once you did it, you saw it was useful.
Yes.
Same thing.
All
so
day.
then again, it's about who wants to do this. So, but I leave it to you. You know, the people to decide to what degree you want to. And it looks like the individual people who get the vote can weigh that or not weigh that. And I like that. They have some option.
Right.
Some people are going to weigh this more. Other people are going to weigh that more. And I like the fact that they seem to have the option to weigh more based on their own personal opinions of that. That's what I think is good. But
Just think about it. You've been in medicine. You have administrators, but you have practitioners. And if you had to make decisions that weighted on what's the best situation for the care of the customer, you have people who are coming on analytics saying that we found this to be the thing that optimized the efficiency. But if you had to sit there and say, well, we're the people who tell you all these dynamics that happen because we're the ones caring for them, and that's our background, how much of that weight do you want involved in the decision?
It varies, and that's why it's part of the story. The issue with statistics always has to do with how the methodology.
Absolutely.
Because that's where you find your bias.
Yes.
Okay, but so it's you learn how to work with that. It's only part of the story.
True.
There's always the stuff that's not the full story. We know that here, right? But the most common thing being it's not the full story.
Right. And I agree.
It doesn't tell you everything. It just tells you, then you have to interpret whether that means more or less.
Absolutely. And it's the same as the coaches poll in basketball. They'll tell you that because the games out here play so late on the West Coast or anywhere in the Western United States, typically they're voting, but they're not watching the games. So when they say coaches poll, they just submit their vote, and they may not watch the whole game.
I've heard that over and over that they don't. I've heard named coaches saying, "Listen, it just comes on too late. By the time I'm there and it comes on, and it's like we're going to bed."
Right, and the population, for the most part, the market of the population is east of the Mississippi. I mean, that's the heavier place, so it makes sense to go with the weight of more schools and population. All right, man, you know what? I asked you this question before. I'm just going to leave this alone. You said Gonzaga. Give me one more team. I'm going to give you something else.
Well, you got to give me the other.
Wait, just one more.
I'm trying to say who else.
No, just one more. And I'll give you this tidbit. The champion from last year is Villanova.
Right.
Would you like to see them repeat? Or do you want to see them get knocked out before Kansas or North Carolina?
I want to see him get knocked out.
You're not supposed to see.
I want everybody that's in the top to get knocked out.
Right, all the number one's gone. What about?
But I'm not saying that in a hateful way. In other words, I just like seeing the upsets. UCLA, I get to root for UCLA.
Well, yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to root for them in a long time, right?
Right, and just so you guys know, Vegas is already letting you know something that you probably want to avoid. Don't pick a Pac-12 team. I didn't say that. They said, why? He said they haven't been back to the Final Four since 2008. That's almost 9 years.
You act like that's another century. They do. That's like, okay. Wow, that's been forever. 2008.
What can I say? All right. Hey, the new term in NASCAR is pit fight. So, let me just say this, okay? Most of you guys wasn't paying attention to this because you guys were watching March Madness and watching the conference championships. But you know, this guy named Kyle Busch, he doesn't have a temper. He just has an attitude. And I'm only saying this because after the last lap of the Vegas, I believe it was Vegas 400, 500. You know, when you're on the last lap and everybody's scoring points, this is a new system I told you about that I like. There are 3 races in one, really. You score points in thirds. So you're not waiting till the last lap. So you could still score. And just to prove the point, Kevin Harvick is leading in points, and he hasn't won a race yet because he's winning the segments. So if you win segments, you accumulate points. Last lap, Kyle gets bumped by Joey Logano, which takes him out from being probably in the top 5 down to 22nd. Guess what Kyle decides to do? He goes over. You know what they say, Mario? Do you actually go over to the enemy's crew to go after the enemy within the crew? Don't your boys stand up and go, we ain't going to let you squab like that, right?
Ill-advised. That's usually ill-advised in our world.
Right. Now,
you know, you don't charge into somebody's shit.
Right. Without
other people.
The gauntlet, right?
You ain't got some people with you.
Now, I want you to look at this picture real careful. I got 2 pictures. This first one is the one I want you to really pay attention to. If you look at all the fellas, they're all pointing down because there's a scrum on the ground. There's a couple of people. Kyle is in there too. And they say it's Joey Logano. You want to see where Joey is? Go look at the back of the picture. You see this guy way in the top left-hand corner holding someone back? Right? That's Joey. So this is why I said, you go over to somebody's
pit. That's Joey right here.
That's Joey over there. But guess who Kyle is? He's running into the gauntlet, meaning that you don't touch our money. You don't touch our boy.
These 3, because they coming.
Right.
He's coming.
He's coming. And there's 3 people down there all wrapped up. And so you want to see the result of that? Just move to the next picture. Now, as Joey said, he says, where punches thrown? Somebody asked Joey, was punches thrown? Did you get? And he said, punches were thrown. He says, I didn't get hit. There's a little blood trickling on Kyle. The lesson here is this. It seems like you didn't really get to Joey. Should you go over to another pit? Which now begs this question I want to ask you, Mario.
You still got to get fined from the...
Right. I know what you got to get done. Would you want to see... Now, you've seen this in football. Would you want to see once in a blue moon pit crew to pit crew fight where?
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Thank you.
Just I think the
without somebody getting really hurt.
Is so fitting.
What'd you say now?
M&M logos. So, I'm sure M&M will continue to sponsor.
Right.
M&M will continue to sponsor these pit crew fights.
Right. Now let me do it, Mario. I'm not wishing anybody get hurt.
No.
But if this accelerated their ratings, which they have lost ratings, would you tune in more if all of a sudden you said
no.
A pit? Dude.
No, not this. Once they gotta not be the good old boys, get rid of Confederate flags.
See, he's gonna take it all the way back to the legacy. I'm trying to get the scrum.
I don't want to go to. Hey, let's put it like this: you could go to NASCAR on the West Coast and still running the rednecks.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Good old boys. That's what I'm just saying.
Mario, you do know.
Now you can imagine what it's like if you go to NASCAR back there down south.
Hey, look. They straight.
Okay, they own
in there.
Up,
look,
straight up good old boys. They gonna tell you don't be coming down.
But everybody knows that we are in an area where there's
NASCAR in California. They just be looking at you funny. In another state, they be.
Just so you know, NASCAR's next race is here in, I believe, in California. Just so you know, out in Ontario, you guys. If not Arizona, it's going to be in Ontario. I'll double check it.
I wouldn't go.
All right. Here goes the next. This is a good one. NBA Rest Hotel. You know, when I say hotel, that means somebody's laid up, somebody's hurt, somebody's feelings got smashed, something's happened. But this is more about theory of NBA players resting in the hotel.
They're making it a feature story now. Who ain't playing? It's like a play. They're not playing tonight.
They're not playing, right.
Fans, but I paid $500.
You sit up there for
yes. I agree. I did. I saw the story. I was like,
day, man.
I was shocked too. You spend all that money. Some people are like, I traveled 2,000 miles to see this game.
Let me say this. The coaches know what they're doing. Organizations know what they're doing. If they really wanted to do this and say it's proper, they know they won't get people to come to the game. So if they say, here's the schedule of designated rest days, then you lose all that money for those things. So they're letting the fans go, we're not here to service you. You just have to take it as it comes. And here's my question, because I'm not really tripping too hard off of it. I'm just tripping that why do the best teams, who needs to rest more? The ones that's losing all the time? The ones who's sitting up here going, we get no love?
I don't know how to even
You got San Antonio, Cleveland, and Golden State resting players? I dropped the G down on this game, and I got to go watch somebody's name I can't pronounce.
People played unless they were hurt. In our day. Maybe maybe the answer to it?
What is that?
Is they have less games.
They're not going to do that, man.
Well, see, they won't do... See, here's the thing. Sometimes you should do this. Decide what's best. Then you can decide if you want to do it, because then that's the answer.
Yeah.
Here's what's best, but you don't want to do it.
Right.
And you can leave it. Because what's best may be to have less games.
Right.
Look at their work week a different way.
Right.
Really do a work week analysis.
Right.
Where you analyze what is optimal for their longevity.
Right.
Blah, blah. Because you can have independent people do studies and like to do that.
Right.
And then after you do that, then adjust the whole game plan to that.
Man, this is one of those things, dude. I kid you not. They make way more money now.
Then they can make up any lost revenue to other events.
I'm literally sitting here going, I have to find out what it is with the athletes being in better condition these days. All the things that's applied to what they are doing, eating, habits, physical therapy, all that is way better. Everybody knows. And they need more rest with the same amount of games. What message is here, which is about playoffs? I know. It's about preparing for the playoffs. Should I be really concerned as a fan that after the halfway period of the NBA season, be careful when you get to the last 2 weeks of the regular season or 3 weeks. You better watch them play before then, because you may not get to see your marquee players.
But I don't know how. It's a double-edged sword, Vic. Imagine like in baseball where they know if you pitch X number of games in a row, you're statistically at this level of risk for injury.
Yeah.
That's why they limit it, right? Because they have found good data. And they want to rest you. So they're specifically looking at your longevity.
Right.
Okay, as far as I know, I'm just saying I haven't seen that applied in other instances or in other sports. What if we actually did the studies and looked at basketball or football and actually told you what was best?
Absolutely.
So they won't, or maybe they have and won't tell you. But that's the information I would want, because I can tell you from the other sports, preconceived notions are just that. The data will come back saying no.
Right.
Don't do this.
No, don't do it.
And then you'll go, wow, really? It's like concussion stuff, right?
I tell you
the
what.
Data will come back and say, don't do this.
I tell you what. Watch this. Let people come who got money, stature. People are known publicly. Let's just say it's politicians. Let us just say celebrities. And they're wanting to come. They're going to tell them, how do you talk to them? And they say, look, there's a lot of sponsorship going behind. There's seats that are pre-designated for certain celebrities in certain games, specifically like LA and New York. And they get to come to a game and sit there and go, I'm here to watch LeBron, Kyrie, or if I'm here to watch San Antonio, if it's Kawhi Leonard, whomever, Steph Curry and Golden State, and they don't play and they're resting. How do you feel about it when you're going, so I'm that person they set up to sit me here because it makes them look good having celebrities there, and then I get there. It's like the Beyonce, Jay-Z. They're there and they go, hey, none of these people are playing? Who got me in these seats? Will he change the game for them? Or will they go like, nah, you guys are just like regular customers? How do you think?
I think that ultimately it just changes because we're in that way as a society.
Right.
See, ultimately what's going to happen, because this never was applied before, Vic, ultimately they're going to apply some some from the outside, they're going to design ways to analyze this, and they're going to give you that information.
That's what I said.
And then ultimately, that's going
Behind
to
the
supersede
scenes.
everything.
So they're giving the information.
Even though where the manipulation is how they control it. It's like boxing, right?
Right.
They're going to tell you, they're going to say the data's unequivocal.
That's right.
That this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you are now open for suits and everything else.
That's right.
So you will then adapt to that. And I believe that that's going to be the process.
That's what I said.
That's the process.
Yeah.
In other words, and it's going to happen. I mean, in other words, but they will resist it. That's where the stuff you said is true.
Right.
They will resist it, but like everything, Vic, it's the era we're in.
Yes.
Right now, they go look at stuff objectively using scientific methods.
Right.
And as coming from that community, I know how good it can be when you apply it to things like this. The issue was they never applied it before to things like this. They didn't study things like that because people didn't care.
No.
But they're going to come back and tell you, and in a minute, that'll be the and for some reason, my general impression is that they're going to give you something that you don't want.
Yeah.
Like I bet you they're going to tell you that NBA players should play twice a week.
Yeah.
I bet you. And the NBA, that's half of what they do.
Right. They're going to, and look, in the end, too, they want to satisfy that let me just say that high value market. So when they actually have to pick the best times for celebrities, because everybody knows, I said, oh, so when you guys are doing that camera swing and saying, here, we got the celebrities, we got the John McEnroe, Spike Lee in New York and all of them, I said, that's taking into consideration that you guys use that as a proponent to advertise, look who's coming to watch the team. There's a correlation of value there because you know in L.A., half the people that come to games want to be seen and see the celebrities.
That's why, okay, this is where I go on a limb. I think that the NBA can make up with other products.
I agree.
The additional, like they could have like some one-on-one things.
Yeah.
They could have less games.
Yeah.
Sponsor more events like one-on-one or 3-on-3 or shoot-offs things. You know, like the stuff that people, all that stuff they do like at the Pro Bowl. All the little fancy stuff that just people want to slam dunk, more of that.
Right.
And then have less games and then and really look at the data on longevity because something tells me for a professional athlete, it's going to probably top out at 3 games a week. Don't they play 4?
Right. I agree. Look.
And it may be that they don't do, I bet you, they might say 2, Vic.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, what if the data, when they looked at it, you had less, like really dramatic differences?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And sometimes in medicine, when you go look, you go, no shit. Oh, really?
I got you. Okay. Well, hey, look. That's it for me because I can't cover everything else. I want to cover a lot more in the NBA sports world, but the rest was the issue here, man. I'm ready to transfer this over and hit the hot picks and then troubleshoot some audio here from my phone for you, Miko. I got that message there. So for the most part, I want you guys to know I own that red helmet. You ready whenever you want.
Peter Allen's into sports. Zone fan-based view of sports, written and directed by the bald-headed black man. Rub in and make a wish. Yeah, every week. Recurring segment when it comes with Mario Show. He's publishing his own social media outlets over there. And we're everywhere.
Fine.
We are everywhere.